So we're going to begin right here today in our discussion, our ongoing discussion. I believe this is part three on the activation of the 12 strand DNA. Activation of the 12 strand DNA. We just viewed a short portion of a video as a group um, by Bruce Lipton called As Above, So Below. Those of you who are listening to this that were not present on the call can go to that video and listen to it up until the 10:38,
brain, the skin of the cell.
10:40 portion of it. 10 minutes from the beginning to the 10-minute and about 40-second portion, and you'll have a clear understanding of what it is that we're talking about. So one of the things that Bruce Lipton was talking about in that video, one of the terms that he used was epigenetics. Now this is going to be very important and central and essential in the conversation of activating the 12-strand DNA. Epigenetic means control above or outside of the gene.
Yes, right.
Question is, and the question that I asked, what exactly is this control above or outside of the gene? Now, Nasik and David, I had mentioned that while we were discussing this, I guess Nasik, it was back as far as what, 2008, 2009, maybe?
Somewhere along there, Eitai.
Somewhere
Yeah.
along, it was a good decade, somewhere along that line, that timeline. We never really defined what this control above the gene was.
Eitai, we did say, but we didn't, pinpoint. We did say we all agreed that it has to be your thoughts. That's what we were saying, because that's how we had been taught that it was your thoughts. But now we know it's a little more than thoughts like that,
Yes, very, 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 very well said. Now, see, that's what I meant. We never really did get into the meat of what that was. Now,
right.
Consequently, over time, we did. Because Nasik began to teach even more strenuously that there was no such thing as a mind like that.
Right.
Like we had perceived it. And so that moves it toward the brain. So we look at the brain and we say, okay, that's just a computer. That's just like a computer. And then eventually, what I said, that thoughts, Nasi, don't exist in this earth realm. That they don't exist, that they're not centralized in the brain. And we're going to get into all of this, but we were coming closer and closer to a consensus and I think a paradigm shifting revelation of what all this means, So
we were definitely headed in that direction, no question.
In that direction, I think we've reached it up to this point.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go on. Epigenetic means control above or outside of the gene. So the question is, what exactly is this control above or outside of the gene? Epigenetics is the study of heritable changes in gene function that do not involve changes in the DNA sequence. The Greek prefix epi means over, outside of, around, or above. In epigenetics, implies features that are on top of, above, or in addition to the traditional genetic basis for inheritance. Now, we get ready to delve right in right now. So, Bruce Lipton made a true statement that our perception or perception controls all life. And we would agree with that.
Right.
As a man thinketh, what? So is he, right?
Right.
So perception is the way that you think about or understand someone or something. The ability to understand or notice something easily, or the way that you notice or understand something using one of your senses. So all of those are viable. We had made the observation that very early on in our development, there is an attempt through compulsory education to control our perception of our environment, ourselves, our world, most importantly, ourselves. Now, see,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the Darwinian evolutionary model of about 1859. Now, again, this is very close, you know, to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Proclamation. Right.
It taught each of us to perceive or understand that genes, DNA, inherited genetics controlled an individual's behavior and destiny through accidental, that is, random processes. Now, you know, this has, if we want to look at this from a dualistic standpoint, relative to society and relative to the overall culture that has dominated America prior to and especially after the Emancipation Proclamation, we understand that this aspect or that this concept of genes or your DNA controlling your behavior and your destiny, that this has played out up till this point. And it's worldwide because we see ourselves as people of color, as melaninated people, all around the world in a certain position. And if you ask the oppressors of each society, now see, eventually you are going to get to this Darwinian evolutionary model.
You're going to get it right.
That it is genetics that determines this. And this is the white supremacist model. We cannot deny this. And we must, we have to point this out. We can't deny it now, see?
No, you can't deny this. This is their model.
So let's look at the model just in graphic terms. You see the 2-strand DNA. Now, understand, we're talking about activating the 12-strand DNA. But this is the model that they give us, the 2-strand DNA. So you see the 2-strand DNA. And something called transcription takes place between the DNA and the RNA. And the RNA takes the transcription. A transcription, now see, is a copy.
Right, the copy, right.
So the question we have to ask is, what is being transcribed?
Right.
What is the organic document? Now see, this is natural, but it don't mean
right. Absolutely, right.
it is natural, it doesn't mean that it's organic. So something is being copied and transcribed to the RNA. The RNA,
Now, Eitai,
uh-huh,
just going back, you now about being random. Something is what? Organically, you understand? It's set in motion organically, the RNA to, you understand, transcribe the DNA.
right.
How is that random?
It can't be random. Nothing just happens like that.
Right.
This is the whole point of this. This is the whole point. We just want everyone to see this graphically. So, however this information is coming to the DNA, it's being copied.
Right.
Copy is being handed off to the RNA, which just translates it word for word.
Yeah.
It forms these amino acids.
Right.
And the way that they develop is going to determine what type of protein or building block of the temple of your temple.
Yeah.
How your temple is going to be formed. So there's got to be an intelligence that is doing that.
Got to be.
And if automatically, if you just think that you're a human and we're just randomly born into this world, then you're going to say God or Allah or Yah is doing it. You're going to say something like that.
Yeah.
And really, you're going to be 100% correct. It is definitely a God that you don't know. It is definitely something.
But you don't know, right?
that you are not in control of.
Right.
So, very quickly, gene expression. Now, they say gene expression begins with the DNA, but epigenetics says that no, it doesn't.
Right.
That it says something above the DNA, something above the gene.
Absolutely right.
All right.
Right.
And it says it results in a protein, the building block of your temple. For simplicity, we will describe gene expression as if it were a linear process that begins with DNA. It's actually more of a spiral or circular process, not linear. But
right.
This is the way we're taught to understand things. So, Beseda, it begins.
Absolutely, right.
It begins with the DNA and ends with protein, but we know that that's not true because there's something above the DNA. It's something above the DNA. In reality, however, gene expression is part of an enormous, incredibly complex system of feedback loops. So
there we go.
That tells you that it's cyclical, that it's spiral.
Absolutely, right.
That it's just going to continue to feed back the same information on a loop that is put in. Simply put, gene expression produces proteins, which in turn regulate gene expression. That's a loop. Sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. The first step in gene expression is transcription. We saw that. When a gene is transcribed, its double-stranded DNA is gently unwound by enzymes. The enzymes all they do, Nasik, is read the information that is in there.
That's right. Right.
And transcribe the instructions it contains by producing a new molecule called the messenger RNA. Well, what is the messenger getting? But the information that is on a continuous loop.
Right.
a continuous feedback loop. Messenger RNA, also called
Wow.
mRNA transcript, called an mRNA transcript. The DNA is then rewound. It's like a scroll. You
Yeah.
unwind it, you read what is on there, transcribe it word for word, give it to the RNA, it translates it. The enzymes read the information and build accordingly, according to that blueprint. The DNA is then rewound like a scroll. During gene expression, a single gene may be transcribed repeatedly to produce many RNA copies. Here's the important thing. As we will see later in this tutorial series, controlling transcription is at the heart of epigenetics. Now, you got to decide who's going to control that.
Right.
So, what I was doing, family, was seeking further information on this concept of 12-strand DNA being the 12 tribes of Israel, or being the, more perfectly, the 12 zodiac signs. And as the 12 zodiac signs is said to do what? Control your behavior and your destiny.
Right.
So, as above, so below. The 12-strand DNA we just read does what? Control your behavior and what? Your destiny. Are you all seeing this?
Absolutely.
But as we look, the 12 is constructed of 7 major portions that are called, Nasik, Yom or Yomim. Y'all might not see this now, but y'all gonna see it perfectly once we get into the Hebrew.
Wow. Yeah.
The Yomim,
Wow.
the Yomim correspond. Now, this is in the process of creation. From the point, from the standpoint, gods and goddesses of emanation are the 7, refer to the 7 energetic chakral centers. All right, the 7 energetic chakral centers. Follow with me now. As above, so below. The 7 main or principal chakras are located from the reproductive organ of the genitals to the waist, the navel, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. You all with me?
Right.
All located along the spine. You also have 7 auric bodies, 7 bodies of the aura that are attached to the physical body. They're referred to as the 7 bodies of men, the 7 bodies of man. We're going to go into that further. You also, on the skull, Nasi, there are 7 orifices. 2 eyes.
What do you call them? What do you call them?
7 orifices or holes.
Okay.
That relate to the organs, that relate to the sense organs.
Gotcha.
Have the two eye sockets, right? The two ears, right? The two
Mm-hmm.
nostrils, that's 2, 4, 6, and then the mouth, that's 7.
Yeah.
Taste,
Right.
smell, sight, hearing. Now we're attached to an environment that is called an earth system, correct?
Right.
This is where we chose to manifest into. The earth system has 7 major bodies of water. It has 7 bodies as well, like we have 7 bodies.
Wow.
Now watch this. The 7 seas, or bodies of water, as in the idiom, sail the 7 seas, is an ancient phrase for all of the world's oceans. Since the 19th century, what happened in the 19th century? We just talked about
That was the epidemic.
it.
Um, right.
Evolutionary, Darwinian theory, all of that.
Right. Right. Right.
Now, watch this. This changed our worldview. The term, since the 19th century, the term has been taken to include 7 oceanic bodies of water: the Arctic, the North Atlantic, South Atlantic, Indian, North Pacific, South Pacific, and Southern or Antarctic oceans. However, in early times, when the only known land masses were Eurasia and Africa, the ocean was an endless river that flowed around them. Y'all got to make note of that. It was echad, it was one. All of these things that seem divided and say it is all one. The 7 auric bodies and the physical, all one, all one. But it's your perception of these things that's either going to make this a simple process or a difficult process moving forward. The earth, from its core to the outer surface or membrane, the outer surface or membrane is 7 layers.
Wow. Yep.
The sky or atmosphere above the earth is 7-fold, 7 layers. Everyone with me?
Yep.
So, when I was looking at this, Nasi, I Googled 7 human organ systems, or the 7 organ systems of the body. It kept coming up with showing only 6. And I said, wow, this is strange. I know that there are 7.
This is real strange here.
Why are they only showing me 6? And I give you an example. They invariably show the circulatory system, the nervous system, respiratory system, digestive system, muscular system, skeletal system. Bruce Lipton said that a cell, Nasik, has all of these systems in it.
Right.
But he said but the question was asked, what controls the cell?
Yep. Right.
And he said the membrane, right?
Right. Right. I remember that. Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
membrane means skin, right?
Right.
Now I'm asking y'all all with melanin, y'all on this call, y'all got melanin in your skin. Why would they leave out the seventh skin layer?
Right.
Because all of the science that these individuals are presenting at this point is especially for you. The control above the cell, now I didn't say it, he said it, is the membrane of the skin.
That's what he said.
But they're not going to tell you why the skin is important, but y'all already know.
Right.
They leave out invariably, Nasi, this integumentary system, and it comprises the skin, and its appendages acting to protect the body,
The button. Mm.
from various kinds of damage, such as loss of water. That's what the word in Hebrew, mem, refers to. Waters.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Mayim, or abrasion from outside. The integumentary system includes hair, scales, feathers, hooves, and nails. It has a variety of additional functions. It may serve to waterproof, cushion, and protect the deeper tissues, excrete waste, and regulate temperature, and is the attachment site for sensory perceptors or receptors
Mm. Mm.
to detect pain, sensation, pressure, and temperature. That's the full range of environmental elements right there.
Now, Eitai, that's the
Yeah.
point. Remember now, what did the scientists do in terms of your sense organ? Remember what we talked about, how
You
they
know,
what? Took and eliminated them so that you would not significantly need them according to a scientific view.
the same way that they eliminated the skin system from this, ain't it? Right? So that your
Right.
perception,
Same way.
wouldn't be complete. Seven is the
Wow.
number of completion, right?
Right.
It would be incomplete.
Absolutely. And incomplete, it will not be whole. And as you're not whole, you cannot function within harmony with all things.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely.
mm, 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 mm.
In most land vertebrates. Now, it's talking about vertebrates now, things with a spine.
Yeah.
In most land vertebrates with significant exposure to sunlight. Well, what is this significant
Ah.
exposure?
Ah.
What about the fact that you cannot be significantly exposed to sunlight?
Mm.
We get ready to get into this, family. In most land vertebrates with significant exposure to sunlight, the integumentary system also provides vitamin D synthesis. Very important. We know, we don't even have to go into that. We know how important that is to what? The function of all of these systems, right? The skeletal system, all of these systems. Vitamin D is essential. The skin is the largest organ on the body. So how can you eliminate that? In humans, it accounts for about 12 to 15% of total body weight, and covers so many meters of surface area. At about 8% of epidermal cells, listen, melanocytes form the second most numerous cell type in the epidermis. Now, if we're talking about the cell, the membrane of the cell being the control of the cell, how you going to leave out melanin in any discussion, family? We got to see this, because we are the ones that will be first, if not the exclusive ones, that activate this 12-strand DNA. It's scientific. Are we following the science, or did I just throw some in?
Found to a T.
Absolutely. The melanocytes form the second most numerous cell type in the epidermis. Melanocytes produce the pigment melanin to what? Protect the skin. It's a protection mechanism. We're going to get into the fact that of this covering that we were given in our mother's womb, because this is what insulated us, Nasi, and protected our consciousness. It is our consciousness in our mother's womb from ultraviolet radiation and sunburn. Let's break this word membrane down. Here it is, Nasi, early 15th century. A thin layer of skin or tissue. It's also a skin, a membrane. It's also parchment. Now remember, when we talked about how this transcription took place, now see, it talks about it like a scroll, what? Being unrolled or unwound and being read, and then what? Wound back up, rewound.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how they describe it. So, this membrane is a parchment. That's what they made scrolls and books out of, animal skins. So, if you're going to rewrite the program of your entire structure, it must begin, it's pointing, Nasi, to the skin, right? And if it's pointing to the skin, it's pointing to melanin. It says the etymological sense is that which covers the members of the body. What covers the members of the body but skin? But they don't want you to go there. They don't want us to go there, family. It's going to be too easy for us. Melanated individuals. Melanated how? As above, so below. Eumelanin on the outside, neuromelanin on the inside. The word member.
That's on the money, boy.
The word member, late 13th century, when you talked about a member, membrane, member, it referred to the sex organ, which takes us right back to DNA, how it's translated. It takes us right back to where the root chakra begins, where? Right around the genitalia. Are y'all with me?
Yes, yes.
Watch this. It says compare to the Latin member virili, but in English, originally of women as well as man. Is that wholeness? Is that the organic concept? Also, body part or organ. So when we are talking about these organ systems, we understand that all of this is connected. It's talking about the flesh or the meat, or in the 14th century, again, from the notion of a constituent part of a complex structure. Well, that's what we just read. And then later on, in the 15th century, meaning one who has been elected to parliament, or from a social standpoint or a cultural standpoint, the individuals that rule above you, that are responsible
Wow.
for what? Forming your perceptions and creating your environment, whether it's cultural, social, relational, etc., and so on. Y'all got to see this. And here's what I just added, Nasi: memory.
That was I was waiting for you to do it because I knew that had to be how the memory. Because you think memory has to do with thought,
No,
but now we can see totally how all this works. Yeah.
it's simple, fam. It's simple. This is mid 13th century now. Now, this is an older concept along the lines of what we saw in member being connected to the sex organ. So now, see, this is more related to the organic or holistic thought perception of this.
Right. Right.
Mid 13th century recollection of someone or something. What's this? Awareness, consciousness.
Wow.
Consciousness.
There we go.
Now, here's something even deeper. It says also fame, renown, reputation. Now, this gets back to the word shem. This gets back to the word shem in Hebrew.
Right.
We'll connect
Right.
this up.
Right.
And the name Shimshon.
Mm-hmm.
Family, was he superhuman or not?
Absolutely.
And he was able to have this ability to draw divinity into and demonstrate it within the physical material world. We're gonna go into that in a little in more detail. So again, it's going to be related to remembrance, memorial, and record. To record, to record. And again, this has to do, Nasi, with zakar,
Uh-huh.
with zakar.
You got it, Eitai. You got it.
It don't have nothing to do with no male and female like that.
No.
It has to do with the design and the interaction, the dynamic interplay between uh, polar opposites, both ends of an energetic spectrum, as above, so below, making that synthesis. Once we activate, now see, having an energetic connection from what? The root chakra to the crown
Right.
chakra.
To the crown. Right.
Then we'll be able to say, thy will be done where?
On earth as it is in
As
heaven.
it is in heaven. We'll be able to say the Father and
Oh,
I,
that's awesome.
Echad, one.
That's awesome.
Moving on. I know we're not going to get to all of this, but I want to give you all as much as I can today to connect this up and to let you all see that we have been talking about this from the very beginning. We've been giving you this information. So
Yes.
in terms of memory, let's look at it this way. It says, I am grown old and my memory is not as active as it used to be. I am grown old and my memory is not as active as it used to be. Now, see, I didn't share this with you, but I'm going to share it going forward because this, again, it really confirms and substantiates uh, what it is that you have introduced in terms of the diet, the intermittent fasting. All right.
Uh-huh.
That you,
Mm-hmm.
so it says, I've grown old and my memory is not as good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is new. This is actually new, relatively new research. Now, see, that connects to what we've been saying. How this solar system that we've been attached to, look, is inefficient.
Come on with it.
And we had introduced early on in the teaching, we had connected um, photosynthesis in plants with the photosynthesis
Right.
and chlorophyll being the active ingredient in that, and saying that that human photosynthesis, this was a term that was unheard of. The key ingredient was what? Melanin.
Right.
Y'all remember us saying that? Melanin.
Yes.
Now here comes the
Yeah.
research. Here comes the research now. And this is going to tie it all together now, see. This is the abstract. This was done by this, it was the research product was headed by uh, a researcher by the name of Tong Min Liu. Received,
Chinese, huh?
March 16th of 2012, accepted 3 days later, and then published 2 days after that, April in 2012. So the whole process from the 16th through the 21st. This is good research here. More than 100 years have passed since the first description of AD, that's Alzheimer's disease. Is that related to memory?
All right.
Watch this. By Alois Alzheimer. However, the patients are dying in the same way. So 100 years now, see, they've had this information on Alzheimer's. Let me ask the people on the call, when did you hear of Alzheimer's as a teenager?
Let me, as a teenager, when Muhammad Ali You understand? Really, you know what I'm saying? Supposed to have Alzheimer's. Before that, you know, we knew about it, like, but not like that until it started hitting black people, so to speak.
That's
You know?
correct. That's correct. And most of our people didn't really get they didn't lose their faculties like that. Was very rare in our community. Our discovery of the hitherto unknown capacity of the human body to split a water molecule breaks the paradigm. But our ancestors always knew because they related mem to water. They related mem to water, didn't they? Memory, member, membrane. Y'all got to hear me.
Eitai,
Yes.
they ran. You remember this guy out of Japan? I forget his name. The guy that did the thing on water and talking about how water has memory. Just
Yes,
exactly what you were saying. They didn't proven that.
Yes, it does. Absolutely, Nasi.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a little bit later. But excellent point. In accordance with our experience of 21 years, the signs and symptoms of AD are compatible with the generalized failure of the CNS. Therefore, AD is an energy problem, not a biomass problem. What have we been saying all along, Nasi? That this thing, you can't look at it from a fit. You're not going to be able to solve something in the physical by working from the physical. You're going to have to do what? Understand the energetic nature of it, connect with that. That is above the gene. It is above.
Absolutely.
It is above the gene. That is the control. It's the energy.
That's absolutely correct.
So it's not biomass trouble. In this work, we are presenting the basis and results of our completely new treatment, whose principles are grounded in a very different physiology. The main source of energy of the human body is water, not food. Did y'all hear that?
Wow.
It is water, not food. So this is what we've been telling you, that this model is imperfect. It's inefficient. The enclosed solar system, that is the garden or box, locks humans into a highly repetitive. Now, that highly repetitive thing, now see, is that feedback loop of DNA.
I see it.
That controls this whole system. The plant grows.
In other words, you are fighting against yourself. You are actually taking yourself out.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And keeping yourself locked into a repetitive system. But guess what? Just like they said that this has been known for 100 years, but the patients are dying in the same way, regardless.
Same thing, right?
And we are experiencing that in the kingdom for the same.
Absolutely.
Because we are locked into this system of thinking that the food source is the end all and the be all. And this is very inefficient because you're only getting one molecule, or one unit rather, of the energy source that is absorbed by the plants or the herbs or whatever when you eat it. The rest goes back to the environment, the 99%. So you're locked into this competitive um, repetitive system. So it locks us into highly competitive, imperfect, inefficient, repetitive, self-refueling, self-perpetuating cycle that features what? Work or avad, worship, as the highest expression and sole purpose of existence. You got to
Wow.
know that from an energetic standpoint, you got to know that that is wrong.
You absolutely have to know that.
So getting back to this for a second, we just want to point out this research. In other words, the main source of energy of the CNS is the water located in the ventricles and subarachnoid space, and not through the blood vessels. Glucose is just a source of biomass, and therefore it must be absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract and then needs to be transported to the different tissues in our organism by blood vessels. But eukaryotic cell uses glycans only as what? Building blocks. Surprisingly, energy is taken from water, a very different and unknown concept. But I'm telling you, it's not an unknown concept. The only reason I can recognize it is because Nasi, I began to remember what I've known.
There you go, Eitai.
Energy comes in unexpected, highly proportioned. 99%. There goes your 99% effectiveness. It's the flip side when you use food, Nasi. You only
Absolutely, Eitai.
you only get 1%, and the 99 is lost back in the environment.
Wow.
We have to know that if we don't have that water internally, we are like a battery with no water. Eventually, the whole system is going to shut down. Why? Because of lack of energy.
Now, that means then that we, the body being what, 75, 80% water, and at the same time, we had not enough sense to understand that that was the energy source. Ain't that something?
Now see, look,
Mm.
look at the land mass
Wow.
compared to the water mass in the globe. Well, you can't see it because you're not on.
No, I can't write. I'm not on right.
Right. But we're composed just like the earth is composed.
Absolutely. Same way. Right.
So here it is. Energy comes in an unexpected, highly proportion, 99%, from a similar process in plants. Water dissociation, a reaction that we appointed as human photosynthesis by their analogies with the photosynthesis of plants. Now, they did that in 2012. We did that when we began teaching this class. I've never read this before, never at all. But the ancestors, made that comparison.
Right.
The capacity of our body to take energy from water began to diminish at 26 years old. So the same way as we lose memory is in conjunction with how we biologically lose energy. Biologically lose energy at a rate of approximately 10% each decade. And after 50s, it goes into free fall. After our 50s, it goes into free fall. This seems to be the natural history. However,
right,
macro factors are able to turn down the human photosynthesis levels as alcohol, look, iron supplements, high fructose corn syrup, hormones, pesticides, herbicides, medical compounds with a high apparent distribution volume like antidepressants. Let me ask y'all, the thing that when people take these pharmaceutical medicines, the most common thing that they side effect that they don't list is dehydration. Am I not correct? Look, old age, diabetes, trauma, and contaminated water, etc. When the energy released by our photosynthesis system is comprised in enough amount, I think he's trying to say is compromised, in enough amount and time, chaos sooner or later overcomes. With the medical enhancement of the natural capacity of our body to split and back bonding the water molecule, the recovery of Alzheimer's disease is astonishing. In other words, you get your mental faculties back. In this brief presentation, we will present some examples of the remarkable improvement in patients with AD treated at our Human Photosynthesis Study Center. And we're going to get into that in more detail tomorrow. And it's going to show us a lot of things and instruct us on what we need to do. But now see, we've already been instructed that we must eat less and consume more more fruits containing water, because even like drinking the natural water, it does not penetrate the cell effectively. It's only through the waters in like avatiak, watermelon, different types of melon, and what's called luscious tropical fruits. Does that water begin to penetrate the membrane of the cell, infuse the membrane of that cell? Make any sense? So going forward, we're getting ready to close now, and I'll give you all within the next 15 minutes the scriptures that are going to that we're going to take a look at, and we're going to decode rather, and it's going to show us that this information that we've covered, this scientific information, was already known and encoded in the scriptures, especially in the Bible as it relates to the Hebrew. Melanin is the chemical key to life and all living things. So if you're talking about activating the 12-strand DNA, if you're talking about as above, so below, you're talking about all of these metaphysical processes, and you do not mention melanin. You do not, you're either trying to hide something or exclude it, or you don't know what you're talking about. Melanin is the chemical key to life and all living things. It is the powerful dark matter consciousness. Listen, it is the powerful dark matter consciousness that connects us all to creation. Melanin is so important because it's the most primitive and universal pigment in living organisms. And now see, they are going to address this in this study because the key words are melanin, photosynthesis, chlorophyll, hydrogen, oxygen, energy. And they're going to address the racist and white supremacist view only on the surface, though, but I'll show you where they do it. Right here it says, at first, melanin was just a nuisance for our scientific research, but 3 months later became the first variable under the study. What have we been talking about? It is very interesting. It was very interesting, the fact that retinal blood vessels and melanin appear to have certain dynamic relationship whose explanation was not described in the literature at the time.
Mm.
And let me see where else did they address this. Maybe I didn't put it in. Hold on one second. But they give the whole history. They give the whole history of why this melanin was excluded from the from scientific study. If it's not in here, I'll include it in here. But they just started to mention it there. Hold on one second. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I broke it up. Since 1765, Lecoq first extracted the skin of a black Ethiop and found that the isolated pigment was chemically similar to those of the choroid of the eye, and notably the squid ink. Therefore, melanin is chemically the same in all the animal kingdom and their main action. The water molecule dissociation and reformation with consequent energy transduction and production is the same in all the animal kingdom and in the plants perhaps too. So if this is a fact, why did they exclude it? They could not give us and would not give us this fact Nasik of exclusivity and superior biology.
Eitai, white supremacy had no place in the history of the annals of time if they allowed us to have this knowledge.
That's correct.
You follow me?
But like Bruce Lipton said,
and see, so now we can see the great conspiracy on a much broader level now in terms of how they have been so adamant in their objective of destroying this melanated being.
Now see, Bruce Lipton said it now. They are facing the sixth mass extinction.
Right.
So they got to bring it out now. They don't want to, but in order for them to survive, they have to understand the individuals that have been not only surviving, but thriving on this planet for billions of years. Since lignin is a kind of melanin, in accordance with it, human photosynthesis must be appointed more exactly as mammalian photosynthesis or animal photosynthesis, even.
Right.
Or furthermore, photosynthesis on Earth. Or perhaps more likely, light melanin water, arranged in order of abundance in nature, the photosystem, which gives origin to life in the earth. Moving forward, family, keeping that in mind. Melanin, this is what Dr. Layla Africa he's just paraphrasing what we just read. Melanin is abundantly present within each and every living organ which aids the human body. Melanin is a superconductor. It always stays charged when it is exposed to things such as light. And as we read before, sufficient light, sound, and color. Certain sounds, certain colors. Melanin can actually absorb the full energetic spectrum and recharge itself to a brand new level. Now, this recharging of itself to a brand new level is essential to for us moving from the fourth dimensional reality and into this fifth dimensional reality. Into this fifth dimensional reality.
Okay, anytime.
Bear with me, family. Casting our eyes toward the history and evolution of the human brain. Remember, membrane, human brain, membrane. We immediately notice a number of things. We see that over time there is a gradual increase in its capacity to absorb light. That's just what they got through telling you was essential. Water, light, melanin, and water, correct?
Right.
And so this cell, from a cellular level, we must be able to what? Absorb water. That's the trifecta that's going to protect us during this energy shift. Melanin, light, our ability to what? Absorb light, and water. Not food like that. Family? This is because there's an increasing darkness that covers the surface. This darkness gives the capacity to absorb light. In all cases, in the terrestrial evolution of the brain, there is an increasing density of dark neuromelanin in the higher nervous system and the brain. And with this growing capacity for receptivity and absorption of quanta or photons of light, this is no idle correlation. Closing with this, family, very quickly. Bear with me for about 5 minutes. You can take the most brilliant brain surgeons in the world, have them open 1 million human brains, they will not find one thought. They will not find one thought. So now see, what we were saying, it was thought. We were saying it was thought. We were right, but we didn't have the science completed.
That's right. That's what Abba he had mentioned this, but the scholars missed it. Absolutely. And when he stated, he said he did not have the language, and we needed the scientific language to make everything what? Harmonize.
This is exactly
but what done happened with the scholars, the scholars have found themselves trapped by not utilizing the scientific language, trying to stay in the spiritual realm.
Absolutely. We getting ready to put all that back together now. Not one idea, not one speck of fear, not one speck of hope, not one speck of guilt, not one plan, not one concept. These entities are not in the brain. These things are not in the brain. They are in the light. The light thinks, it knows, it plans, it organizes. I refer you to Gary Zukav's book, The Dancing Wu Li Masters, page 88. Something is organic, Nasi, if it has the ability to process information and act accordingly.
Right.
We have little choice but to acknowledge that photons, which are energy, do appear to process information and act accordingly, and that therefore, strange as it may sound, they seem to be organic. Since we are also organic, there is a possibility that by studying photons, we may learn something about us. Now, this is why, family, the ancestors directed us to the process of photosynthesis. Do you see? It is us, the light, that thinks, not the brain. Now, here we are now getting to the control above the above the gene. Now, see, because
Right.
we have to ascend above this false perception that we were given, that we were merely humans, a byproduct of some random genetic process, not the brain. The brain is the computer that takes the ideas that the light puts into it and provides it as understandable activity on the physical plane. We know, we know that the matter of the physical universe was brought into being by photons, little packages of light energy, or let there be light. Let there be light. When colliding with each other, form the virtually infinite number of protons, neurons, and electrons, which in various combinations, that's duality, diversity, variation, make up everything in the physical world. The essence, we can now accurately say that all the matter of the physical universe, ourselves included, is actually light slowed down. Ending on this point, Psalms 139:16. I would advise us to go back and read all of Psalms 139. We're going to spend some time on this. It reads on this wise: Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, and as yet there was none of them. This sounds very poetic, sounds very elegant, but it is a purposeful mistranslation, Nasi. This is a recitation, a transcription, a paraphrasing this verse of everything that we've gone over up to this point. It's actually, this is the Young's, no, actually, this is the translation from the direct translation from the Hebrew script, the interlinear Bible. And it reads on this wise: Thine eyes did see. That word see is perceive. Perception is first. Mine unformed substance. The word unformed substance is actually the word fetus. And in thy book, remember the scroll, they were all written. In other words, Nasi, the book is the actual organic blueprint, the scroll. Even the days that they were fashioned. The days are the yomim. The yomim that they were fashioned, and it says, when as yet there was none of them. That is a purposeful mistranslation. I'm going to show you all, because right here is the word echad. Do y'all see it? Is the word echad. They're saying that it's supposed to be saying, when as yet there was none of them. It doesn't say that. It says, when they were one. When they were one. But they add, y'all see this? They add the word, it's not in the original Hebrew, but they add the word velo, velo, meaning not, and not, or yet were not. It doesn't say that. It says it more positively or powerfully, even in the days that they were fashioned.
Now need to have some comfortable shoes. Are they?
Even in the days that they were fashioned, and I'm paraphrasing, when we were echad, one, united, singular. So it is interjecting this aspect of emanation from a singular whole into the realms of the physical, into the realms of duality and variation. So we're going to break this down. We're going to provide the science decoding the scriptures and providing the science of this, of how this dark covering, if I shall say, surely darkness shall cover me, even in the night shall the light shall be light about me. Well, what is that talking about? It's talking about the ability of melanin to what? Be light absorbing, and not just light absorbing, sound absorbing, and to utilize this light in human photosynthesis and human development, human evolution, our movement back into the divine. So with that, I'm going to end this portion. We've covered a lot, but we've only been talking about one thing actually, and that is providing ourselves the correct information, the correct understanding of this process that is essential, that it is urgent, that we initiate ASAP, and that is that 12-strand DNA activation. The 12-strand DNA activation. And the control above the gene is you and your perception of all of this, and your willingness to accept your responsibility in your own resurrection, in your own evolution, in your own transition from the fourth dimensional reality into the fifth dimensional reality. And we have provided you with all of the information. It is accurate. It is verifiable. All the information that you need to do this. You know, science is not going to do it. If they are not mentioning melanin in this process, then they are missing and excluding the essential element. And we have it above and below. Above uh, in the eumelanin in the skin, which is the membrane, and in the internal below the internal neuromelanin, and that is going to that gives us a complete set, as above so below, a connection to the earth, and a connection to the heavens, so that we can effectuate our transition. So we'll get into that, again tomorrow in more detail. But we've laid the groundwork for this. This is uh, paradigm shifting information, and the science of this is linking right up. So we'll continue that tomorrow. At this point, I'm going to end